Hello, my good people, my fellow Zambians. Welcome to Akaliashi Zambia, wherever you are in the world, a forum where we discuss national issues and give our editorial opinion, and also invite you to give your opinion as well. News coming out of Lusaka today is local government minister Charles Banda has effectively suspended Kitwe and Lusaka city councils in an alleged attempt to curb illegal land allocation in these specific councils. This suspension means the entire councils will be put on suspension, quite literally, including the councillors or mayors heading these jurisdictions as well, which include Christopher Kang'Ombe in Kitwe and Sampa in Lusaka. We'll very shortly get into the press conference at which Lands and Natural Resources Minister Jean Kapata and Local Government Minister Charles Banda were giving their statements. But before we do, we like to give Akalashi's opinion. In our opinion, from the very day Sampa defended Zambians against Chinese mistreatment, he particularly has had a target on his back. This is not surprising. This was a day coming. This was a day that we foresaw. And what we're now seeing is really the unraveling of the Patriotic Front in its panic state. Now, a lot has been said about Sampa, but I think it's also important to highlight Mr. Christopher Kang'Ombe, the mayor of Kitwe, who is also a man of integrity. And anyone who knows him or has dealt with him or went to school with him at CBU has attested to his character. This is a man who 3 weeks ago or so was demanding for foreign traders in Kitwe to move away from local trading spaces in order to give the locals in that specific area a chance. He designated specific areas in Kitwe where these foreigners could go and trade, and I think this has also been part of his suspension. When you've got a local government minister who is effectively in bed with investors, whether it's through kickbacks, whether it's through promises, we don't know what those arrangements are. But when Charles Banda repeatedly interferes in the operations of Lusaka City Council and Kitwe City Council, you can only assume that he has an interest in that outcome. So we have effectively two very hard-working mayors working very hard for their cities, defending the rights of the citizens living in those cities in Kitwe and Lusaka against being drowned out by foreign traders in trading spaces, mistreated by foreigners. And all of a sudden it becomes very clear that the picture that is being painted by the Patriotic Front is that if you are someone of integrity, if you are someone who stands for the people, if you are someone who is popular amongst the people, you are not valued. They will shun you. They will filter you out of their system because that is the system that works against them. The unpopular government who does not like the popular candidate who is a member of their party, because they start to become a threat. They start to become a threat to either sitting members of parliament or even the president himself. And what we are now seeing is basically these two mayors on their way out. It does not take 3 months to do an investigation about land irregularities. 3 months is basically trying to buy time in the wake of coronavirus so that Sampa does not close any more bars down, of which you are a recipient of kickbacks for keeping those bars open. So our advice to Mr. Sampa particularly is this is an opportunity. This 3-month suspension is an opportunity for you to literally resign from this council that is treating you like a child who cannot see things for what they are. You have an opportunity here, Mr. Sampa, to literally stand as either an independent or part of the incoming UPND government. You have an opportunity to stand as a member of parliament, even for Lusaka Central, and you will wipe that seat clean. This is an opportunity that should not be lost. If anything, this suspension is a blessing in disguise. We'll get into the press conference and you can see for yourselves what these two ministers had to say. But just before we do, if you're new to this channel and haven't subscribed yet, please make sure to hit the subscribe button for more upcoming updates.
Press briefing with the Ministry of Lands. Colleagues, this press briefing is a follow-up to the one held on Wednesday, 22nd July 2019, in which I indicated that my ministry and the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources would thoroughly investigate the issues surrounding the land in Emersdale, Matero constituency, to the altercation between the Honourable Member of Parliament for Matero and the ward councillor, one ward councillor in Matero. Colleagues, I wish to inform you that the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources and I went to the site under question, accompanied by officers from the two ministries and officers also from the Lusaka City Council, to establish whether the land in question was indeed a road reserve and therefore not suitable for any form of development. We undertook a tour of other sites in the same area that had been queried by the community. The following were the findings from the visits. Number one, on Vubu Road Reserve, a named individual was granted a temporary permission by the Lusaka City Council on 11th June 2020 to install a trading container on temporary basis for 6 months from 11th June to 31st December 2020, subject to renewal. The land on which temporary permission was granted is on a road reserve and directly under the 11 kV ZESCO pylon. This is the same area where Honorable Lloyd Kazia, Member of Parliament for Matero constituency, and Ms. Anne Chinyanta, Ward Councillor for Matero Ward 28, who is also a chairperson of the Planning and Information Systems Committee of the Council, had the altercation over the land. The named individual had since started erecting the base for the container. Colleagues, this area is unsuitable for intended development as it would be an encroachment on the road reserve and poses a hazard for the developer. Number two, there was a proposed extension of stand number 35/35/8632 Emersdale. A named client made an application for extension of his property into a road reserve, purporting that it was a disused road which would be closed completely, on which basis permission to extend the property boundary was granted by the Lusaka City Council. The named client, on the basis of the permission, started mobilizing materials for building the wall extension onto the access road. It was on that basis that the community raised concern, and they raised concern on the planned extension. The findings indicate that the land is in an active access road and therefore would not be suitable for the intended extension. Number three, there was a proposed extension of stand number Lus/17418/A onto Chenyunyu and Great North Road Junction. In 2003, a named client applied to the Lusaka City Council for an extension of property of Chenyunyu Road in 2019. The client applied for another extension of the property along the same road, to which permission was granted. However, the findings from the combined tour undertaken on Friday, July 24th, 2020 are that the proposed extension of the property of Chenyunyu Road would encroach on the road reserve and falls under the ZESCO pylons. Therefore, the Chenyunyu Road extension is unsuitable and would negatively impact on the service provision. Colleagues, Section 57, subsection 1 of the Urban and Regional Planning Act number 3 of 2015 and other sections of this act provide that a planning authority may amend or revoke planning permission if, in C, the amendment or revocation of the planning permission is necessary in the interest of public safety, security, peace, welfare, and good order. Given the findings of the site visit and pursuant to the URP Act, the Lusaka City Council, a planning authority undertaking functions delegated to them, has been instructed as follows. Number one, the temporal permit granted to install a trading container on a Vubu Road Reserve under ZESCO pylons be revoked. Further, the erection of the container must be stopped with immediate effect as the area is clearly unsuitable for the intended development, which I'm sure the council has already worked on. Number two, the permission granted for the proposed extension of stand number 33/35/8632 Emersdale onto a road reserve be revoked with immediate effect, since the land in question is an access road, an active access road. Number three, the permission for the proposed extension of stand number LUS/17418A along Chenyunyu Road be stopped and planning permission cancelled with immediate effect. Since the permission for the proposed extension of stand number LUS/17418 418A off Chunyunyu Road encroaches on the road reserve and is under ZESCO pylons, the Lusaka City Council should ensure that the wall fence boundary is reasonably moved away from the road reserve and the ZESCO pylons. I want to state here that the Ministry of Local Government, together with our colleagues at Lands, will closely monitor the developments to ensure that directive issued are closely followed and actioned upon. Therefore, I wish to reiterate what I said in the last press statement, that the Patriotic Front government will not tolerate any illegality and disorderly allocation of land, and that any officer or civic leader found wanting would be reprimanded and appropriate action taken accordingly. Clearly, from the tour undertaken in Imazdo on Friday, some irregularities in the planning permissions were established, and these will not go unpunished. I want to say also here that it's not just the Lusaka City Council that we are going to talk about. We have also discovered that similar tendencies have occurred in so many other towns, but principally Kitwe City Council. It seems they have gone overboard, just like Lusaka City Council have done. And because of this, dear colleagues, I wish to announce now that I've suspended the Lusaka City Council for 3 months to give us chance to correct the ills that are in that council. May I also announce that I have with immediate effect suspended Kitwe City Council so that we are able to go in and correct the ills. And I'm hoping that in that 3 months, as we try to put things correct, our friends are going to have an introspection and come back as better councillors and civic leaders in those very, very important institutions. Apart from that, let me also send a warning to other councils that are in this habit of perpetually wanting to be on the wrong side of the law, that we're not going to spare anybody. There's no sacred cow in this. We may come back soon, should these activities persist in other councils, to do the same, suspend them and correct issues there, and ensure that things are done in an orderly manner. So these suspensions are with immediate effect for 3 months, and within this week I'm going to appoint administrators, one for Lusaka and one for Kitwe. Honorable.
Good morning, colleagues, once again. The Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources gave large urgency to local authorities, and this was done through a circular, number 1 of 1985. And this circular has outlived its cause. This is why, as a ministry, we are reviewing the circular so that we can bring it to the current time where we are. I also want to take this opportunity to caution all our provincial land officials in the provinces not to endorse illegality. Before they can endorse to start preparing for title, they must be able to go on the ground and verify that those pieces of land are available for allocation. So having said that, I also want to add that as Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, we are withdrawing our agency, the agreement that we had under Circular 1 of 1985 from Lusaka City Council and Kitwe City Council for 3 months until further notice. We need to do an audit in those districts, towns, to see to it that sanity is brought. We also want to take an audit to see that to it that most of the illegality is corrected. I want to take this opportunity to call upon all people in these towns, that is Kitwe, Lusaka province or Copperbelt province. We are going to set a table at our ministry to receive complaints of similar nature so that we can deal with these issues once and for all. The councillor's duty is not to allocate land. The councillor's duty is to give people services. It's to attend to people, but it seems like now the new trend is that people just want to concentrate on land allocation. And on many occasions, I've mentioned that Lusaka province, along the line of rail and Lusaka province, we do not have land anymore. I've written a letter 3 years ago to Lusaka City Council to stop allocating land because there was no land in Lusaka. But they've continued to give out land. So we are withdrawing our agency until after 3 months. We need to put the house in order. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable. And for purposes of clearing all doubts that people may have, I have invoked Section 56 of the Local Government Act, which empowers the Minister of Local Government to suspend council when there are problems. Number 56 says the Minister may, by reason of the refusal, failure, or inability of a council to adequately perform all or any of its functions by statutory order, A, appoint a public officer to be the local government administrator for the council, and B, suspend all councillors of the council from performing all their functions as councillors and empower the local government administrator and discharging all the functions of the council. Against this, administrators will be appointed within this week. Thank you very much for this.
Thank you, Honourable Ministers, and colleagues, you'll be permitted to ask questions and be precise to the matters that are pertaining at the moment. When you come in, tell us in clarity your name and the institution where you are coming from, and we'll be able to handle you if you have a follow-up question. But because we are so many, be fair to one another and let the questions just involve what is the discussion at the moment. You are free now. Yes, after you, then it will be there.
Good morning, Honorable Ministers. My name is Mishek Mirongo. I'm from Usuma Life Media.
From?
Usuma Life Media. Yes, I'm from Usuma Life Media. Looking at the fact that you've suspended 2 councils for illegality, it brings in the question that there is an allegation that our councils in the country have been allocating land to foreigners, especially the Chinese. Then there's this notion which is, people are saying that Zambia now has been sold to the Chinese. In view of this illegality which has been taking place, are you going to consider investigating the issues where there's an allegation that a lot of land has been sold illegally to foreigners, especially the Chinese? Thank you.
I don't know what you want to find out. The truth here is that we have suspended the council so that we know exactly where the problems are and correct the situations. We are not targeting any race, any nationalities or anyone. We are targeting the problem of illegal land allocation, full stop. Whoever got land illegally, whether a foreigner or a Zambian, we need to find out how that was done and correct the issue.
Thank you.
Good morning, Honorable.
Please stand if you may.
Good morning, Honorable Ministers. My name is Esnat Lungu from Spring 24 TV. My question is to the Minister of Lands. I would like to confirm if your ministry is carrying out a land audit, as there have been many calls for a ministry to carry out a land audit and present your findings publicly. So I'd just like to find out if that is going on.
Yes, land audit is an ongoing thing in the ministry. We've been auditing land all over. And in this particular issue, we want to actually concentrate our efforts on Lusaka and Kitwe so that we can come out with what is obtaining on the ground. Land audit is something that has been going on in the ministry for a long time, and it will take a while for us to complete the whole country in terms of land auditing. Thank you.
Yes, and then followed by the
My
lady.
name is Tito Kalama. I'd just like to find an update on the encroachment of land on Munari Secondary School. I've seen that 2 buildings are standing. There's one 2-story building and a filling station. What's the status quo as we speak?
They are in court. And you know very well that when a matter is in court, there's nothing one can do. Our hands are tied.
Yes.
My name is Pamela Mulenga, a freelancer journalist. I'd like to get your position of view. There are some serious concerns that why is it that maybe the local government or the Ministry of Lands are failing to work with the councils in terms of allocation of land, especially having had this recent incident? Could it be some, I don't know, people would like to find out why is it just difficult that there is just no collaboration?
They actually, I already alluded to the fact that
sorry, I can't.
The agents of the local authorities was done under Circular number 1 of 1985. And 1985 and today is 2020. It's a long time. And I mentioned that we are actually trying to review it so that we can bring it to the trend of where we are today. So it's, as Ministry of Lands, we could not actually administer land in every district because our presence is not in all the districts. We are only at provincial level. Hence, the circular was put in place so that the councils could assist the Ministry of Lands in land allocation. And also, in the process, the council would also be getting revenue out of it. Thank you.
Another thing that should become very clear is that the Ministry of Local Government, to answer your question, does not allocate land. The Ministry of Local Government does not participate in the allocation of land. We have one arm of the ministry which has signed an agreement with the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources to perform the function of land allocation on behalf of the Ministry of Lands. And that is the council, the local authorities. They are mere agents. Mere agents. Us as Ministry of Local Government, there's no failure in as far as we are concerned, supervision of land allocation. Because ours is policy direction. We have to enforce that which the Ministry of Lands has agreed with our local authorities, that it must be done properly by the local authorities themselves. So it's not that like the ministry under the minister and the permanent secretary should be found in the councils to approve land allocation. That is not our job. We are not there. We are not at that level at all. But we are responsible for the operations of all the councils to ensure that they are doing the things in the right manner. There are terms and conditions outlined in the Agency of Land Allocation which they should follow. And the moment they don't do that, it raises concern to the mother ministry responsible for land, which is the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. But as a parent ministry for the local authorities, we have reason also to punish whoever abrogates whatever agreements we sign with the other ministries.
Maybe we could have 2 more questions. Let's try to be gender sensitive. And we have one for the hand that is already up. Do we have from the ladies here? Do you have anybody with a question here? We'll be concluding with that question.
Good morning, Honorable from Diamond TV. I'm moving a bit from the discussion, but I would want to get specifics from the Ministry of Local Government on the issue of wheelbarrow tax. Maybe if you can...
The issue of?
Wheelbarrow tax, if you can give us clarity.
No, I'm not ready for that. I always want to give the people the exact issues, especially where it comes to figures and so forth and so on. Put in a press query. We'll answer you.
That's when you're raising up your hand. Okay, we said we conclude. We'll give you a chance. Go ahead, please.
My name is Roberta Lungu from ABN TV. I want to get clarity from you, Honorable Minister, when you say suspend. You've suspended the Kitwe City Council and Lusaka City Council. Is it the whole council or just a department in the council?
It's not a department. When we talk about the council, we are suspending the mayor and the councillors.
Thank you.
Honorable Ministers, we're immensely grateful that you found some time to come and give a